Okay, so this is recorded. All right. So today was a primary for Rhode Island's first district Democratic primary, and it had a lot of candidates in it. And this seems to be the bane of anybody's existence who wants to see actually good primary results. I don't think I've ever seen a primary that has more than like 3 people ever end with a good result that anybody likes. Not to trash on it. You should be able to run if you want to run, but I mean, when you look at the results of this primary here, if you go to the results, let me go to Rhode Island, first district, and the results. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candidates to get more than 1,000 votes in this race. And I'm not even lying about that. And one of them almost got there, was 8 votes away from getting to 1,000. John Kalavs. So there was almost pretty much 8 people to get over 1,000 votes in a primary race that only has, 91% of the vote is in, and it's been called for like 30 minutes, and there's only 36,000 votes in. It's a primary where 8 people got over 1,000 votes. That's kind of ridiculous. So I know this seems like kind of a stupid rant to go on, but you know, start consolidating. I mean, if you're a lib here, that's fine. You probably don't give a shit because this is just kind of a rant on a progressives page here. But the fact is how many times are people going to split the vote here? It's just kind of depressing. Or not depressing, but kind of infuriating. I mean, Jesus Christ, there doesn't need to be 7 candidates. I know I sound like I'm so anti-elections, but you don't need 7 candidates for a primary. I mean, yes, a general election, more candidates would be a nice thing, but you don't need 7 candidates. That's too much. Too much for a district as small as this. But it's not very diverse. It's a district that's 70% white. You need seven different candidates. You know, I could understand if it was like an urban district or something like that with a lot of varied cultures, but it isn't. So whatever. So moving off of that quick rant, first thing that I'm gonna say in this recording is electoralism is good, and a lot of the DSA types just didn't show out for this race, and it was pretty famous in that fact. A lot of them just didn't vote because the Rhode Island DSA sucked, and they said they weren't supporting a candidate. So that's the first lesson here. Anti-electoralism on the left is stupid, and if even somebody like Paul's ego can change their mind on electoralism slightly, then you should too. Because there was no reason for the Rhode Island DSA to do what they did and disenfranchise probably at least a few hundred voters. Not saying it would have been the difference. The candidate we always wanted that we wanted to win as progressive, he probably wouldn't have won anyway. But still, it did not help to see leftists or progressives, whatever you want to say, uh, purposefully disenfranchise themselves so the best candidate doesn't win. You gotta love that, really. And this isn't the first time this has happened. I'm not saying Reaganberg would have won, but it really isn't cool to see, again, not only are you splitting candidates' votes by having 7 candidates run, you are disenfranchising your own voters. So that's not great. So I hate to see that. First it's Nevada, now it's Rhode Island. It's happened a few times. If you're left wing and you don't want to engage in electoralism, that's fine. But don't bring everybody else into your BS. And it wouldn't help you to just release a fucking graphic on Twitter that says you endorse somebody. Don't actively campaign against them and tell people not to vote. That's just cringe and it's dumb. And it probably costed Aaron at least a few hundred votes. Not saying it was the election. I'm not that delusional. But still, doesn't help. The next thing I want to get on here is say that it really wasn't that horrible of a night. The candidate that did end up winning, Amo, is a Biden-Obama guy. He is kind of a new third way kind of Democrat, but that's better than the alternative, which is the other candidate that ran major candidate, with his Matos, who is a complete lunatic, centrist dem, Bloomberg defender type. So the winner, honestly, would have preferred the progressive candidate, but this isn't the most horrible result here if you're looking for left-wing policy. Other than that, I don't know much about the guy other than he was endorsed by a Kennedy, but, live and learn. So what does this kind of mean broadly? I really don't think this means much. I mean, it was a special election. You still have November coming up. And really, it was one seat. I'm not really too mad about it, especially since it wasn't that big of a loss. I mean, in a race with 7 candidates getting over 1,000 votes, Aaron Rosenberg, the progressive candidate, getting a good 24, almost 25% of the vote here, with the winner getting around 32% of the vote. Not bad in a candidate with in a race with 7 candidates. I would like to see in the future, in these special elections, is progressive candidates doing better with suburban white voters. I mean, rumors, I've heard it, that Rosenberg really didn't do much to get the vote out in non-Providence areas, which is one of the main cities in his district. So Amo kind of racked it up in kind of the wine mom, as some people say, stereotypically kind of educated white places and like the Italian places. And this is kind of a trend where you see on Twitter there's like a meme among liberals that progressives don't do well with minority voters, which is absolutely not true. Um, Quite frankly, they do very well with them. Most progressives are, but their biggest Achilles heel, really, is the suburban educated white voter, which Rosenberg really screwed the pooch here. I mean, I feel like progressives would win way more elections. Leftists would win way more elections if simply they did better to reach out to these voters to pitch social democracy to a more suburban and educated demographic. But other than that, I mean, it was an okay result here. Waiting for Utah to come in. We'll see how that goes. Might make another space for later. So we will see. Aaron Rosenberg going down to Gabriel Amo in the Rhode Island special election for the 1st Congressional District.